The Bride is in theaters now, much to the delight of Frankenstein fans and much to the disappointment of, I'm guessing, at least one very ill-informed Kill Bill fan. This episode is brought to you by Harry's. Go to harrys.com/Murrell to get the Harry's Plus trial set for only $10 and stay tuned after the video for more info. Hello everybody, I'm Dan Murrell here with my review of The Bride, and if you were sitting at home thinking, you know, it's been at least 4 or 5 months since we had a new Frankenstein movie, well, you are in luck, because this is the latest film from Maggie Gyllenhaal. It's her second film as writer-director after The Lost Daughter, which came out back in 2021, and that movie earned Jessie Buckley her first Oscar nomination as supporting actress. In this movie, Buckley takes the lead in the title role of The Bride, set in a world where Frankenstein's monster still walks the earth over a century after his creation. When his loneliness grows unbearable, he enlists Annette Bening's Dr. Euphronius to reinvigorate a companion for him, and that companion is Ida, a mafia call girl whose recent death is undone when she's reborn as, well, they call him in this movie, Frank's companion, with no memory of her life before. The only thing that I'd really heard about the early critical reaction to The Bride was that it was all over the place. And having seen the movie now, that makes total sense, because this movie is all over the place. At any given point in the film, you're not really sure if it's taking you to cinematic heaven or dragging you down to movie hell. It is both ambitious and chaotic, and that is a very unstable combination of elements. You've got to get that balance just right, but I'm not really sure Maggie Gyllenhaal was too concerned about getting that balance right. It's fitting that this movie is based on a story about sewing a creature together from random parts, because that's what the movie feels like. It is so many different things. It's a Bonnie and Clyde-esque reinvention of the Frankenstein bride story, a piercing psychological look at a woman who's drawn to the fringes of society while fighting the men trying to make her conform to what a woman should be, quote-unquote, a love story, a crime story, a satire, a tragedy, a metatextual examination of the literary legacy of Mary Shelley, a winking homage to past Frankenstein movies, a feminist examination of the patriarchal society of the 1930s, a black comedy, and at times, even a musical. The Frankenstein lore is well-trodden ground, as evidenced by Guillermo del Toro's movie, which just came out a few months ago. But it seems like Maggie Gyllenhaal's solution in trying to figure out something new to do with it is to just do everything. Consequently, I often found myself totally engrossed in what this movie was doing and where it was going, and then frustrated as it took a completely different turn into something altogether not at all what was happening before. Wash, rinse, and repeat for about 2 hours. There was one thing I didn't take any exception with, though, and that was the acting, led by Jessie Buckley, who I think is fantastic in this movie. Much like the film, inside the bride's head, there are multiple different voices competing for the spotlight, and I think that Buckley plays that brilliantly. I know that this is kind of a cheesy phrase that is often overused, but it is a tour de force performance, and it only underscores why I think she is one of the few people at the Academy Awards, which are coming up very soon, that are almost guaranteed to be a lock to win. Similarly, I enjoyed Christian Bale's take on Frankenstein's monster, or Frank, as the bride calls him. He begins the film as this timid creature beaten down by a century of rejection into this pitiful and fearful shadow, but the bride brings a spark of life back into him, and we see him grow and find purpose in this second life once again, even though he's not really being entirely forthcoming about how the bride came to be his companion. I also liked the duo of Peter Sarsgaard and Penelope Cruz as the pursuing detectives. I almost feel like I could watch them in their own movie, with him as the face of the operation and her as the talent behind the man, but the movie has other things to do, so they're really just kind of a small part of it. The Bride is yet another project produced at Warner Brothers under the executive team of Pamela Abdy and Michael DeLuca. They are responsible for the incredible run that Warner Brothers went on last year, as evidenced by the fact that Sinners and One Battle After Another and Weapons are all major awards contenders. None of those movies were safe, and this movie isn't safe either, nor was Wuthering Heights, which was the first release from Warner Brothers this year, but I think that this movie and Wuthering Heights share a lot of the same strengths and a lot of the same weaknesses. They are both movies that are not afraid to reimagine familiar storylines, and they are both movies that are incredibly well made technically. They take advantage of all the tools they have at their disposal to make a truly memorable cinematic experience, but I don't think that either of these movies fully worked. I applaud Warner Brothers' faith in these directors, in Emerald Fennell and Maggie Gyllenhaal, but while I find this kind of loyalty and risk-taking admirable, in the calculus of studio filmmaking, it can only take you so far. While there was a lot in the movie that did feel fresh and original, if you did get watching the trailers for this film, maybe Joker Folie à Deux vibes from the tone or the look of the film, that might be because there were some key creative people that were brought over from both the first and second Joker movie to this film. The cinematographer is Lawrence Sher, who shot both Joker movies, and Hildur Guðnadóttir, who scored both Joker films and won an Oscar for the first one, also provides the music for this film. It's a very well-made movie from a craft perspective, a lot like Wuthering Heights, and I would say that it's worth seeing in a theater on that level alone because a lot of tonal shifts are asked for the technicians behind this film, and they do deliver. But watching The Bride kind of feels like being the passenger in a car where multiple different passengers are all desperately trying to grab the wheel. I didn't know if we were going to arrive at some beautiful, idyllic destination or if the car was just going to get driven into a tree. Ultimately, it was more like a Thelma and Louise situation. The movie just kind of drives off the edge of the Grand Canyon. Yes, it might end in a fiery wreck, but you got to admit, it's a bold move. It's hard to know what to make of this movie. It's one of those films that I think will be some people's favorite movie of the year and some people's most hated movie of the year. I don't think the mainstream audiences are going to go for it at all. And I was constantly suffering whiplash between really digging it, admiring some of the choices, being puzzled by others, and feeling disconnected at other points. I like that Maggie Gyllenhaal felt the freedom to throw as much into this movie as she did, and I like that Warner Brothers supported it, especially because this started off as a co-production with Netflix. Netflix eventually pulled out, and so Warner Brothers ended up being the studio, the sole studio behind this film, but I just don't think it all comes together at the end. So looking at my personal scale, boy, depending on what you like or don't like about this movie, it has a lot of wiggle room. But I'm edging this up into it's fine territory because there are some genuinely impressive things in this film, and I really like the performances, especially Jessie Buckley's. However, don't go into this movie thinking that you are going to get a conventional film because that is absolutely not what it is. It is abstract at times, and from the very beginning, I loved a lot of it I didn't. But it's interesting. And you know what? And I've said it before many times. I'll take interesting over boring any day of the week. So those are my thoughts on The Bride. What do you think? You're going to be heading out to see it in theaters this weekend? Let me know down in the comments below. And before we go, I'm going to thank the sponsor for this review, Harry's. This episode is brought to you by Harry's. I don't know if you noticed, but I'm a little bit cleaner cut today. And that's because I just used my new razor from Harry's. Now, I've got to be honest, I've been out of the razor market for years, and that's because I got sick of all the dull, disposable stuff that you would buy in the store. It'd either take forever to shave, or I would try to get it done in a reasonable amount of time and end up cutting my face. It was just easier to run some clippers over my beard and be done with it, but I'm kind of turning into Gandalf or Dandolf the White a little bit. It's good to keep the beard shaved, and that's why I'm glad I have my new Harry's Plus razor, which has an advanced pivoting system that reaches every corner of your face and also has refined blade tech featuring German engineered blades for a closer, smoother shave. Every cartridge also includes a lubricating strip with aloe and vitamin E to calm your skin while you shave, and it even has a neat little edge blade on the back for sideburns and those tough to reach spots. I was actually able to shave in a reasonable amount of time today without any nicks or cuts, and I was happy with how easy it was too. Plus, Harry's offers a great experience at an even better price because they don't outsource anything, they keep costs low, and their risk-free trial means that you really have no reason not to give them a try. For a limited time, fans of the show can get the Harry's Plus trial set for only $10 at harrys.com/Murrell. This set includes the all-new Harry's Plus razor, one refined 5-blade cartridge, a 2-ounce foaming shave gel, and a travel cover to protect your blades on the go. Just head to harrys.com/Murrell to claim this offer, and after you purchase, be sure to tell them that I sent you. That's harrys.com/Murrell, M-U-R-R-E-L-L, to get the Harry's Plus trial set for just $10. Thanks to Harry's for sponsoring this review, and thank you for watching. Be sure to stay tuned right here. Later today, I will have my review of Hoppers, which is the latest movie from Netflix. And of course, stay tuned right here for the latest in movie news, reviews, box office, Oscar coverage, and all of that stuff. Until next time, stay safe, and I'll see you then. Bye.